Kelly here, and I'm back with another video. Today's video is a edited replay from a live that I did last week. We're using the Lovely Layers seasonal signs and the coordinating stencils. And then we ended up using, what else did we end up using? I think the mini holiday florals there, the Lovely Layers mini holiday florals. And I showed the smaller snowflakes, but I ended up using the larger snowflakes. And then the mini holiday messages and the banners, the sentiment banners. So I always, and I said this in my live, if you watched it, I always feel like this set, this seasonal sign set is like one of the ones that's super overlooked because I have used it several times and I like it very much. It has all of the makings for all of the different seasons and then some extra ones. Like there's some craft stuff on there, some back to school. I just think it's super cute. So you're also getting the sound effects as if you were in the live, as my dog is growling at nothing and then shaking her floppy ears and jingling her collar so loud, so loudly. Anywho, so I cut everything out of white because I am going to color them. There's a couple of different shapes for the signs. I decided to go with the round one, honestly, because I've never used it before. So I decided that that would be a good way to kind of mix that up. And then I am just going to put my die cut pieces into my little craft catcher here. And that way I have all of them where I want. I do like to sort mine after I'm done doing all of my die cutting so that I know all, like, everything is with its friends and I know what I'm coloring, what color. I hope that that makes sense. So since I decided to do a little winter wreath, somebody in the live, I think it was Lori maybe, said to me, don't you want to cut out the bow? And I was like, no, I don't think I'll need the bow. We will be cutting out the bow later. So if you were considering making this card, cut out the bow. So I wanted to do like the little wood grain on my sign. So I chose some kind of warmer browns. This is brushed corduroy. I just put that down on my grip mat. I think this is on sale actually over at scrapbook.com. And so that's holding my die cut there so I can ink blend it. And then I'm going to do just a little bit of inking around the edges. This is ground espresso. And then I'm going to bring in the stencil. There's a couple of different ones that you can use that, like, you could do the sentiment on there. Like there's one that says hello winter, and then there's one like this is the wood texture, and then there's like a little jack-o'-lantern, or they have like spring, they have all the seasons. It's all Lovely Layers seasonal seasonal signs. So anyway, in the wood grain, there is a little bit of like a middle piece that doesn't have anything to stick to because it's on the cardstock. So I just held it over my trash can and I lightly sprayed it with some pixie spray. And once this is dry, it's going to give me a repositionable adhesive. So I just double checked it on my hands before I stuck it to my paper just to make sure it wasn't too sticky. And then I'll be able to go in with some more of that brushed corduroy because I want the wood grain to be there, but I don't want it to be competing with everything else. It's just like an added detail element. It's not the element. You know what I'm saying? I also think that you could probably use this for a charcuterie board, and that would be cute. So anyway, there is the one that says hello winter, has like some mittens and some branches and some snowflakes. I don't want the hello winter, the mittens or the snowflake or the mittens. I just want the snowflakes. So I'm kind of turning this in a circle and I'm masking off the other part of the sign, and I'm just going to use my white pigment ink to go around with a finger dauber and add my my little snowflakes all around the edges. And because we're using the finger dauber, this dries pretty quickly, even though it is a pigment ink. And then I just worked my way all around the entire sign. If you wanted these to stand out more, I wanted them to be in the background because they're not the element. They're just a supporting actor. you could do this and then like heat emboss them and they would be really bright white. But I just wanted them to be pale because I am going to use this larger snowflake in the center here. This is from the Lovely Layers snowflakes. And then we're going to get into the coloring of what is going to be like the decor that kind of comes down and around. So for the little mittens, I decided that I was going to do their cuffs white. And then also, this is actually made to be one of the signs, the other signs hangers, but I am going to use it to act as like a little string or yarn or ribbon to connect my mittens. So I am coloring these with some cool grays with the mitten connector. Like you just want to pick one side to be on top. So I picked the right hand side, like the loop that's coming up and around the right down to the bottom left to be on top. And so that's why I put the shading on the one that is coming down to the bottom right. When I do the shading for the door hanger, I'm going to flip it so you can see the other side. And then as far as like, I knew I wanted a couple of different like greeneries. No shock there. I really like a lot of different greenery, especially when that is like, that's what's building up our focal point. We want it to be interesting. So I chose some blue greens, some kind of desaturated yellow greens, a true green, which was a little bit too bright, and I'll show you how to fix that. And then I also used some blue. Again, if you watch my videos, nobody's surprised because I love blue. Blue, it matches everything and I view it as a neutral. So here, these are my little branches for the desaturated yellow-green version. And there's not a lot of real estate here. I think I pulled 3 colors, but really I could have gotten away with 2 for sure. But I'm just used to working, I guess, with 3 colors, so I didn't even really think about it. I just pulled out my 3 and then moved along. So this one, the last couple of families that we pulled out the blue greens in the 70s family. That's going to be desaturated because it starts with that 7. And then this is only true of Copics, by the way. And then for the yellow greens, I pulled out the 90s family, so super desaturated. And then here, I liked these greens, but the greens all start with like a 1 or a 0, which means they're going to be really bright. Not a lot of gray. And so they're kind of not working with the other colors that we have. So in order to knock this back, I am going to go in with its complementary color. And green's complementary color is red. The first red I tried was a little bit too dark. And so it wasn't knocking back the color. It was changing the darkness level. So I just went in with the next one, which was a little bit lighter, which is an R32. So here you can see them next to each other. Not a ton of difference in the shading, but it does knock it back so that it's not as bright. Here's that hanger that I was talking about before. So this time I'm going to do it the opposite. This one has the top piece being the piece that's kind of looping around from the top right to the bottom left. And on this one, I'm going to do the shading so that the top piece is the one that loops around from the top left to the bottom right. You can do either or, whichever works better for your hanger. You just want to make sure that you're, shading one piece to be the bottom and leaving one with the highlight color to be the top. Again, more desaturated colors. This is the B90s family. This is one of my favorites. Really, I love this. I love this color combination. It's such a good family color. And I use the B99, like that navy color, a lot, period, just all season long. So here, basically, these leaves are, you can you can color them any which way that you want. And so that's what I'm showing you here, is you can decide what's going to be the top piece and what's going to be the bottom piece, meaning the piece that tucks in behind your florals or whatever your item is. In our case, it's going to be a bow. And then we can get 4 different shapes, looks out of just these leaves. So then if we colored them, another way, it would just add more interest. So they don't all look exactly the same. I am doing the mittens in the same blues. I'm going to add the shading in between the thumb and the rest of the fingers mittens, and then also we have that like puffy piece that lays over the back, so I'm adding shading there as well. And then for the hearts, I actually had to come up with a new color combination because the red that I chose is not like a traditional red. It's actually ruby red from Altenew, and it's a little bit more on the pink side. It's got a little bit of pinkies, which is really pretty, and I love that. So I did have to kind of test out some color combinations to see what was going to work. I ended up settling on an RV69, an R56, and then an R30, what was it? 37. And this is kind of like a pinky red that, again, is still desaturated because that's the kind of color scheme that we have going on, but it matched that cardstock pretty well, and I was happy with it. This is also the same color that we're going to do our bow. So I'm talking about this card and we're already 12 minutes in. This was a honeybee live that I did, and I also wanted to make sure to give you the information for, we are doing we as in me and honeybee, are doing a free Christmas tag class. So there's no cost. You can just come, hang out, visit, chit chat. It will be on the Honeybee channel. It's actually already scheduled, so you can go over and click if you want to be notified. And I'll link that below. And if you're watching on my channel, on the YouTube description. And we're going to do 3 tags. And we're going to do some distress inking. We're going to be doing some Copic coloring. We're just going to be having some fun with some Christmas characters. That's what our little tags are going to be. But there's going to be, like I said, some other types of things, techniques and things like that we can learn. But ultimately, you will walk away with 3 tags that you love and a lot of techniques that hopefully you'll be able to incorporate into your other style of making. So that is this coming Sunday, December 14th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you guys there. So now we're getting into the building. This is before I realized that I did need to, in fact, cut the bow. So I started putting everything together, and then I was like, yeah, I will definitely need a bow here. So I just scooted it to the side, and then I cut it out of my white cardstock again, and then we'll zoom back in a little bit to do our coloring. And I just used the same red family that we did for the hearts on the mittens. So how is your Christmas shopping going? How are you doing on your Christmas shopping? Because it's already the 11th of December, and I have to tell you, I have minimal Christmas shopping done. And because if you guys watch my channel, my mom had passed away earlier this year, so this is our first holiday season without her, first Christmas without her. And so my mom typically did all of the shopping for like her and my father. So now he doesn't really know what to do, and it's not his fault. Because that would be like if all of a sudden, I had to figure out how to use the snowblower. Like my husband takes care of that. I have no idea how to use it. Thankfully I have a son who does, which is there's what my father is doing the same thing. He has 3 daughters who also do. So, what he has done is, instead of him trying to figure out what to get everybody, he has asked us, if we will do the shopping for each of our siblings from him. So he's basically just been like, here's some dollars. Please go each of you buy for a different sibling. And so that is what we are going to do. But we still buy for each other. And I know that's probably a bit unusual for us being, the age that we are, but that's what works for our family. So we still buy for each other. And so you have, like, I'll buy for my oldest sister and my middle sister from me, and then I will buy for one of them from my dad. So we will definitely be needing lots of gift ideas, for each other. The kids are easier, but also kind of more difficult, because it's really easy to kind of like get sucked in and get the kids their things. But they're at two totally different ages. So like we have one that's like, hey, I'm perfectly happy with packaging sometimes. And then we have one that's like, hey, you only have to buy me 2 things because I know that they're really expensive, but I want the expensive things. Which I totally understand, but also is not fun. It's just not as fun. So we have to figure out what it is that we are gonna do for that. My sister graciously has offered to do some babysitting of my little jelly bean. My peanut butter will not be home. So she is going to hang out with my little one so that my husband and I can knock out some in-person Christmas shopping, which is not something that we do very often. In fact, she said to me the other day, she was like, she was going to babysit her grandkids. And she was like, it never occurred to me, like she was like, I just thought like, oh, Kelly and Eric never go out to eat by themselves or never go do anything by themselves. And I was like, no, I don't, because I would just call mom. I would just call my mom if I needed a sitter. And she was like, well, I'm no replacement for mom, but I'm happy to watch the kids, which I know is true. But honestly, it just really never occurs to me to call them and ask them, because everybody has their own things going on. Whereas my mom, I never ever felt like it would be a burden for her to watch the kids, because honestly, that was like her favorite thing to do. So, but even then I didn't utilize it nearly as often as I wish now that I would have, since, she has passed. I wish that I would have let her watch them more. So now let's talk about how people support us, right? I was in this live, okay, and then we got to the sentiment, and I could not find something that I loved. So this was my first attempt, okay? If at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. So my first attempt is I am stamping in navy on white, and then I'm going to cut it out of a banner. Now I was thinking that this white would be nice because I'm going to have like the white border, I'm going to have the white snowflake in the middle, and then the white sentiment. I did not like this. I did not like it. So back to the drawing board. Then we did a white heat embossed on navy blue and cut it out of the banner. And I also did not like that. So then we tried to stack them together. Like, this is what I mean when sometimes, like, you just have to work through the process, because sometimes it just doesn't all come together. So I tried to like shadow it. I didn't love that. I tried cutting a larger banner in navy and like double stacking it, and I did not love that. And that doesn't, just because I didn't love it doesn't mean that you can't. So then we tried, well, maybe it's the blue. Maybe the blue is the problem. So I'm like, I'm going to color this one white. This white one that I have, I'm going to color it with the blue alcohol markers that I used before and see. And this was like better, but still not great. So then Dawn made the suggestion of stamping it in, like doing the white heat embossing on red, that same ruby red color. So I tried that, and that was better. What does Gina say? That was better than terrible. Like, it wasn't bad, but I still didn't love it. However, this is in a live, so I'm like, eventually I'm just going to have to make a decision. And I know, like, my husband would have told me to make the decision, like, four tries ago. But I can't. I'm just not built that way. So I settle. I'm like, okay, I am okay with the red and the white heat embossing. I'm not in love, but it's okay. So now we're going to start building the card. I did trim down my ruby red piece so that I could have a little bit of a white card base mat there. And then I put my mittens down in the center, and now I am building out my greenery. I wanted it to be full, but also wanted it to be symmetrical because when you're building a wreath, like typically you're looking for that balance and stuff. I recently did another video talking about balance. I can link that for you if you're interested in seeing it. But we talked a lot about how to get balance in visual triangles and colors and all kinds of things. So anywho, I'm just trying to fill out the top of this, because typically you would have like the top would be all full and flowery, or if it's a full wreath and then your sign would go in the center. So my idea here, and I think this is where I was hung up, I was hung up on it being all kind of one focal point. And sometimes we have to change our expectations in order to get something that we are happy with. Because sometimes the way that we see it isn't necessarily the way that it's going to look the best as we start like playing with the pieces and stuff. So here, in order to get those navy blue leaves incorporated, I put two of the larger ones kind of down toward the bottom, and then I tucked in two of the smaller ones on each side of my little bow. And see, I lost one. I lost a little leaf. I had to try to go find it. Those die cuts, if you don't watch them careful, they will run off. They will just run away. So will some of your scissors and your tweezers. I don't know what's wrong with them. So then here, because I had so much cardstock built up on the sides, I did have to put a little foam tape in the center of my bow, just so that it would be lifted, and that way it would sit above all of my foliage in the center, like it wouldn't be sunk down. I hope that makes sense. So then once I had that there, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to pop up this this sentiment. And Dawn, I think it was Dawn again, who made the suggestion, like, hey, maybe put it at the bottom. Somebody else had said it looks kind of empty on the bottom, which I don't disagree. It does kind of look a little empty at the bottom. So it's not necessarily super balanced. But I'm like, I'm running out of time. We're live. We've been doing this for however many, I think it was like 2 hours at this point. So I was like, I just have to commit to something. So I do my shimmers of glitter like I normally do, and then I'm using my white gel pen to add like the little stitching detail around the hearts. I'm also going to use this to add some detail to the snowflake in the center, also some highlights on my little bow there. And then what did I do next? I think I did the pearls. And the pearls, like I wanted to do them down by the sentiment to help kind of bring in some balance. But I didn't love them. I did not love them. Somebody had suggested in the chat, like, hey, maybe you could put the things up like by the greenery to be like berries. So now I've heard all of these things. I no longer have the stress of being live. I ended the live and I'm like, I'm going to come back and revisit this because I don't love this card and I think that it could be better. So I go in, I use my little die release tool. This is great for removing the little pearls, and I'm just stacking them on top of there. Like those are the ones I will reuse again. And then I'm kind of starting to play around with what can I do to create some balance. So you can see those two little white stripes there. The reason that they're two different sizes is because I picked them out of the trash. not like my trash can, but the little craft catcher thing that I use now on the side of my desk or on the side of my glass mat to catch my trash. I had some that I had trimmed there, and I was like, maybe I could add that and it would help it kind of pop. And then eventually I had to just remove the whole sentiment. But then also I was thinking about like the balance on the bottom, and I was like, maybe I could use some of this greenery that I didn't use to create some balance at the bottom. So I played around with that, and I ended up adding these little strips of white, and I adhered them so that they were slightly longer than the actual banner. And then I just went in and trimmed them so that they looked like they were one ribbon, like the red was trimmed in white. And this was great. This, I think, it gave it more weight, like it gave it more presence on the card, but also it broke it up from the background. And so I was much, much happier with this than I was with just the red that seemed to kind of float in all of that empty space at the bottom. So keep that in mind if you are feeling like maybe your sentiment isn't doing what you need it to do. Try maybe trimming it out or adding like another color, another neutral or something with it. So here I'm going to adhere it just slightly higher than where I had it before. And that's because in order to create that balance, I'm going to add some greenery to the bottom. And this, adding the sentiment a little bit higher so it's like touching the bottom of the sign, and then using that greenery below, starts to create that bit of balance that it is all one piece instead of two separate pieces that are very disjointed. And so I did cut apart my greenery, like I cut them into little sprigs. It's just paper, don't be afraid to cut it. So I cut them into little sprigs, and I didn't use any of the navy blue, but I did use the other ones, the regular green and the yellow green, to kind of just fit those underneath there. And I did it again so it met in the center, because up at the top, that's how everything's meeting at the center where that bow is. So I just brought that center focal point just straight down the center until they were meeting there. But now I don't want to put another bow there, but I do need to have something there. So I was like, okay, great. This is where I'll put my pearls back, where they're meeting there. And then I'll just do like somebody had, suggested, was doing the little berries and the foliage. So that's what you see me doing. And I'm like testing it out, and I'm like, no, I don't want to put it all around. It doesn't look right all around. Just stick to what stick to the berries and the foliage. So I did that, and I was happier with that, but I didn't 100% love it. So I was like, I'm going to let it sit, and I'm going to come back to it. So I added some Stardust Stickles to the hearts in the middle of the mittens, to the bow, and then to the snowflake in the background. And this just I'll put the shimmer and the glitter and the shines on everything. That's just who I am. But I do think it gave it a little bit something extra and helped it to stand out. And then I still didn't love those little white pearls. So I've already used them twice now, and I was concerned that the stick wouldn't stick for another card. So instead of using the other red ones that were in the set, I'm actually just going to color these. So I chose to use the RV. I think I started with the RV 69, and I ended up going to an R 59 because the 69 was just too pink. But these, because it's alcohol markers, I can color them with my marker and they will match perfectly. And then I was much happier with it. So you'll have to let me know how how the transition of the card went, like as it grew, and let me know what your thoughts were. Again, I hope to see you at that tag class on Sunday. I will link that below. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.